dementia researcher with a blog and a rating.
The binary of science and femininity. Femininity should not undermine credibility. Women in Neuroscience Awards 2024. It was a privilege recently to attend the inaugural Women in Neuroscience UK Awards in Cambridge. It was an evening of celebrating some incredibly inspiring scientists, mentors, and activists. An evening of celebrating some incredibly inspiring women. Women in cerebral earrings and hot pink suits, neuron necklaces and Pekingese dresses. Women whose innovation and impact were in no way diminished by their high heels. It wasn't until I reached university that I realized just how much I'd internalized the binary of women in science. Wearing makeup or doing my nails wasn't ever something I was interested in as a teenager, because I feared that people would stop taking me seriously as a nerd. If I wanted them to respect my mind, then I couldn't be seen engaging in the frivolous pursuit of femininity. I had to be analytical and rational, never emotional. Decisive and confident, never passive and soft. Because to be a scientist is to be independent, assertive, and logical. It's a strange coincidence of fate that these are also traits typically ascribed to masculinity. And so, at a young age, and entirely subconsciously, I had to choose between being perceived as intelligent and being perceived as feminine. And there was reason behind that. It transpires that even the school textbooks were against me. Studies show that women in textbooks across the world are often portrayed in more passive roles and are linked less with work and achievement. Even on TV, we see a renaissance of science with the likes of David Attenborough, Brian Cox, and Neil deGrasse Tyson, but no women. When I show groups of school children famous scientists, it is nearly always Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking they recognize, rarely Marie Curie, Ada Lovelace, or Katherine Johnson. We see the Watsons and Cricks, rarely the Rosalind Franklins, the Oppenheimers, not the Qianxiang Wus. This is perhaps unsurprising given that of the 688 Nobel laureates awarded since 1901 in the scientific fields, only 20 are women. And if you think this is a problem of the past, then I encourage you to have a look at this year's Nobel roster. Of the 10 Nobel Prizes awarded across physics, chemistry, economics, and medicine, not a single one was awarded to a woman. I'm fortunate enough to work in an environment filled with supportive and inspiring women. Sometimes it's easy to forget in offices dominated by female PhD students that the odds at times are so stacked against us. As I walk down the corridor to the offices of program leaders, it gets easier to remember. There has never been a better time to be a woman in science. I can never decide if that thought is comforting or terrifying. There is more awareness than ever about the challenges that women face in the workplace, more research being done for women and by women, and more organisations being set up with the goal of creating female-centred communities to foster discussion and uplift each other. Women in Neuroscience UK is one such community that I can highly encourage getting involved with, and the Black Women in Science community does some similarly fantastic work. Working to keep these organisations moving forward and including more women and women's issues within our research are broad goals for the future. But I'm also an advocate for some smaller acts of defiance. It transpires that I never had to choose between being a scientist and being a woman. I painted my nails with a different design before every single one of my undergraduate exams and still wrote some killer essays. I make sure that whenever I do talks, particularly to other young women, that I wear what makes me feel the most confident. I wear the dress, I wear the suit, I wear the bold red lipstick and the neuron necklace. It makes me smile to see the female scientists I work with bring their femininity to work. Embroidered brains on pencil cases, cute stickers for Synapse Sisters, and neuron plushies. There's a lot of big work that we need to do to make science an even more welcoming place for women. But there's a lot of small work we can do too. Femininity is not, and has never been, a determiner of credibility. Because the lie that sits beneath that thought is that being womanly is the antithesis to being a scientist. The more women I meet, the more I know this to be untrue. So, if you identify as one of these mysterious women in science, my challenge for you is this. Ask yourself why looking or speaking a certain way makes you feel less sciencey. It's still something I struggle with. I still work hard to try and hide any emotions from my interactions with senior scientists for fear of it undermining the credibility of my work. I still worry about wearing that fancy dress to conference dinners. I still worry that men in the audience will dismiss me when they see me wearing that red lipstick. Let's try and fight the everyday battles to build each other up, while tearing down the binary that has been invented by textbooks, TV shows, and yes, even the Nobel Awards. Let's open up the doors in the big ways and small, so that the next time a young woman Googles famous scientists, the first person she sees is someone who looks like her.
Thank you for listening. Join the Dementia Research bloggers and share your own views.